Welcome to the Ask Dr. Mom Show, episode 13. In this episode, we discuss high fevers, introductory foods for a nursing baby, and pink eye. You don't need to be afraid. You can handle this, and here's how you do it.
The Ask Dr. Mom Show.
Welcome to the Ask Dr. Mom Show, episode 13. I am extremely grateful to have Alicia with me again this week. I just drove 8 hours to get here in time to do this episode, and am thankful that I have somebody to kind of change gears with and get in a different mindset. So let's just jump right in. What is our first question?
Our first question is from Elena. She says, my baby is 8 months old and I want to start introducing foods. What would you recommend to start with?
Elena, congratulations. You are amazing. That is absolutely wonderful news for me to hear when I know that a mother has nursed her baby exclusively for 8 months. That is probably just about the perfect age to start introducing some solids, because typically at this age, they're wanting to do what you're doing, eating, and they need just a little more weight in their stomach. And so what I typically start with is fruit, because it's the easiest thing to digest. And so if you want to mash up a banana and start feeding the baby little pieces, little bits of the banana, or if you have a way to take a fresh apple and make some applesauce, that's a good way to start. But when I started having my children, the recommendation used to be start with rice cereal. And to me, logically, it just absolutely does not make sense to take a child who is barely able to start digesting their own food and give them grains. To me, that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Up until now, they've been getting pre-digested food from your breast milk, and I just feel like it makes sense to start with something simple.
Would you consider an avocado a fruit because it has a seed in it?
Sure.
Okay. I know I've started some of my kids haven't liked avocado. So
I think that's a wonderful way to start, because they're also getting the right kind of fats in their diet.
Yeah.
So that would, and another thing that babies tend to like is smoothies, and avocados are a wonderful addition to a fruit smoothie.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. What do we have for question number 2?
Brittany asks, how long should I let my child have a fever before going into the ER? What's the safest way to deal with a high fever?
Brittany, thank you for sending this question in. This is always a scary thing for any mother to deal with, especially a new mother. I'm not going to answer this question directly because there's too many variables missing. Usually when a child is running a fever, there may be several other things going on: an ear infection, congestion, a stomach ache, nausea. So to say how long is safe, that question takes in a lot of variables, and so I'm not comfortable answering that directly. But let me tell you the rule of thumb that I have always used. When a child has a fever, one of the first things that we're programmed to do in our conventional world is to kill it. Pull out the Motrin or the ibuprofen or whatever it is, Tylenol, right. And a fever is actually the mechanism that the body uses to activate the immune system. So when we have a fever, destroying it immediately is, again, logically not the best solution to the problem. If the body is building a fever, there's a reason for it. And the rule of thumb that I go off of is this: moist heat heals, dry heat can kill. So we never want a high, dry fever. And the way we keep a fever moist is, number one, getting a lot of fluids into the body, whether it's water, juices, soup, popsicles, whatever works. And I will put them into warm bath water multiple times throughout the day so that they are in a steamy, wet environment. I usually will put a hot water vaporizer next to their bed with something like eucalyptus oil in it. And the other thing that I would do is have them on something like the Kids Immunobug, which has yarrow in it, peppermint, echinacea, things that will help boost the immune system and help the body to eliminate toxins. A wonderful thing to give someone when they have a fever is hot yarrow tea. When you make a cold tea out of yarrow, it becomes a diuretic, which means that it's going to help you urinate. Mm-hmm. If you drink it hot, it's a diaphoretic, which means that you're going to sweat.
So hot helps you sweat, cold helps you urinate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so hot yarrow tea when you have a fever is an absolutely wonderful tea to be drinking because it's going to help you sweat, which is eliminating toxins. And again, we're keeping the fever moist.
Yeah.
So typically that's the rule of thumb I run off of. And it depends on all the other things that are going on as to how long I'm going to stay comfortable with it. But as long as the fever is moist, I don't have a problem working with it. And if you feel like it's getting too high, if you're just not comfortable with where it's going, then one of the things that we do is get some peppermint essential oil, and you can rub that onto the bottom of the feet. You can even rub that into the base of the head, and it tends to, it tends to immediately start bringing that fever down.
Now, she just asked a high fever. She doesn't say necessarily how high that is. It's my understanding, and I don't. What is the level? Is it 104? It's like something over 104. That's
typically, yes. You consider a fever up to 102 fairly typical. If it hits 104 and starts to climb above it, that tends to kind of be a danger zone.
Right.
But again, I would be giving them Immunobug. I'd be giving them some hot yarrow tea. I'd be putting them into a hot bath. If the body wants to be hot, let's help it.
Right.
But
it's only when
we're
it gets
going
into
to keep it moist. So just remember that rule of thumb. Moist heat heals. Dry heat can kill. Okay, what's our third question?
Connie asks, my infant has pink eye and the doctor prescribed medication that I can't take while nursing. What can I do for him?
Connie, if you're nursing, you're in a perfect situation to take care of the pink eye, because typically if you just put a few drops of your breast milk into the eye, literally just let it, 3-4 drops drip into their eye.
Right after you're done nursing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do that 3-4 times a day for a day or two. Typically that'll clear it up.
Yeah.
And if you need anything more than that, I would make a tea out of the eye bright herb, use an eyedropper, put, again, probably 2 or 3 drops into their eye 3-4 times a day, and usually in less than 48 hours you've got it flushed out and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
And I've had kids who've gotten pink eye, older kids, and I had a nursing baby, so I would use some pumped milk, and I would use the eyedropper, and I'd put the drops, just right here and have them blink their eye.
That is an awesome solution.
Yeah.
It's easy and it works. Okay, we are out of time. Thank you again so much for joining us, and thank you for all the wonderful comments that we have been getting on the new set and the addition of Alicia. Everyone that has talked to me said that they have just enjoyed it so much, and I appreciate your comments. This has been the Ask Dr. Mom Show. I'm Sandra Ellis with Alicia Decker. Thanks for joining us.